I recently put out a video about buying a condo in Thailand. I bought this condo here, and there were tons and tons of questions being asked about the process, a lot of different questions. The number one question I was asked was, I didn't think it was possible for a statement people made was, I didn't think it was possible for a foreigner to buy a condo in Thailand, which is a fallacy. You can. I mean, anyways, I'm Greeny. This is my friend Ben.
G'day, everyone.
I figured I'd bring an expert in to help answer some of these questions about buying a condo in Thailand and real estate in Thailand. So we're going to do this together, right, Ben?
We are.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
And just to let you guys know, Ben, he's been in the real estate business in Thailand for a while. How many years have you been in real estate?
Around 10 years.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And right now you work for a developer.
Yeah, so right now I work for a developer based around, 10 minutes south of where we're sitting, right?
Right.
Or closer, yeah.
Yeah. And before that?
Yeah, so the experience is a little diverse. I first came into Thailand and actually worked for somebody that had a private holding of two buildings in Bangkok. And he was in the process of kind of refurbishing those units and then selling them off. So I worked in that for 2.5 years, which was my introduction into property in general. Then I came down to work in the Bang Saray Jomtien area for approximately 4 years for a developer, and worked my way up from sales into an eventual sales director position. And then I went back to Bangkok, worked at an agency, Century 21, in Bangkok, doing the sales director role there. And missing this beautiful area. You all can't see, but the sea is behind us. It's such a beautiful day. So I figured I'd leave the city once again and come back down this way.
Okay, so you've been bouncing between the Bang Saray area and Bangkok.
Yeah.
But involved in a lot of different aspects of real estate. So, okay, let's just get right into it, because I know you guys don't want to hear all this stuff. You want your questions answered about real estate in Thailand. And just to let you guys know, make sure you subscribe, like the video. If this goes over well and you guys have a lot of good questions, we're planning on making this a regular podcast, because we want to answer everybody's questions regarding real estate and retirement. We're kind of thinking about calling it the Real Estate and Retirement Podcast. And I'm kind of an expert on retirement because I'm retired. And this guy,
I can attest to that.
And this is the most experienced real estate person, that I know. So I figured I'd bring him on the show. So anyways, let's get into it right away with the top question is, can a foreigner and how can a foreigner own property or real estate or land in Thailand? So let's start with buying a condo in Thailand, because I think that's what most people do that come over here as a retiree or a foreigner. Can a foreigner buy property in Thailand?
Absolutely. So it's very easy for a foreigner to purchase a condo in Thailand. When you're buying condominiums, there's two ways to go. There's the freehold and leasehold.
Okay.
Now, what freehold means is basically that the land is not leased. So when you buy the condo, you own it, etc. The land's not on a 30-year lease, or they do 30 plus 30 plus 30, which is not really legal. But the land is essentially owned. The opposite of that is leasehold, okay, which means the land is actually leased. This is the case usually in places like Phuket and certain areas of Bangkok where the property or the land might be owned by like the royal family or government land, etc. So freehold and leasehold is the first thing to understand. I would highly recommend looking at freehold property. Obviously, that's the easier way to go. In terms of buying a property itself, so you can essentially buy a property, own it in your own name, just as you would in US or Australia or somewhere like that. But there is a quota issue with buying property. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Right. So the properties, say in any given complex, and I was a little confused about this at first. 51% have to be owned by Thai nationals, and then 49% can be sold to foreigners.
It goes by square meters, sellable square meters.
Oh, so somebody had in the wrong direction.
Yeah. So let's say you build a condo building, right?
I'm glad I got you here to fix this for me, because somebody told me wrong about that before. All right, explain it.
Yeah, no. So how it works is obviously in most condo buildings, you're going to have units of different sizes. Most buildings will have studios that are, can be 20 square meters, one bedrooms, which could be anywhere from 30 to 70 square meters, say, and then bigger 2-bedroom units. So, and then you have the common area of the building as well, which includes like the swimming pool area, the juristic area, any grounds, etc. So it works off sellable square meters. So let's say in a condo building, you have 4,000 sellable square meters, right? 2,001 square meters need to be owned by a Thai national, or in some cases, they will set up a company to take ownership of the unit, a Thai company. The other 1,199 square meters can be owned by foreigners. So essentially, as foreigners start buying under the foreign quota, the allocation drops. And when you reach a certain point, you have to cut off the foreign sales.
Right. Okay. That leads me into another question, or talking about, I wanted to discuss that quota, that 49 to 51%.
Sure.
You just covered that. But let's talk about the difference in prices, because I had some questions by some of my subscribers or viewers that, why is the Thai units usually a little less, the foreign units more, and the Thai units less? Why is that? And that's universal, not just with your development. I mean, I get lots of questions about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, and there are occasionally people that are concerned about this aspect. What the reason is that in resort locations, usually in Bangkok, you won't have this pricing difference.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is in resort locations where the majority of buyers are actually foreigners traditionally, you have to have some incentive. Essentially, if somebody wanted to buy through a company name or something like that, right? Because there's obviously a cost to setting up the company and maintaining the company on an annual basis. So simply said, it's just to get across that issue that there are more foreigners buying than there are Thais. Okay. Obviously, if you're in Bangkok and a big developer launches a building with 500 units or so, right? The majority of buyers are going to be Thai. Traditionally. So you're never going to have that problem of the foreign quota dwindling.
So it's even an incentive to get Thai people to fill up that 51%, because, you get in some of these resort areas, it's going to be, like you said, mostly foreign nationals. So you got to give a little incentive for the Thai people to buy in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in a lot of cases as well, on the payment plan side, it might be a little bit different as well. If you're buying off-plan property that, say, has a 3-year payment window or a 4-year payment window, the percentages due at certain stages may be different for foreigners, like a company name or a Thai name.
Okay, I think that explains it. So let's just lightly touch. We'll do another video, maybe talk more about opening a Thai company. But I have a Thai company, and we can buy real estate in it. I would advise, if you're into, doing real estate, you're renting or doing different things, and you're opening companies to buy these properties, you do an individual company for each property in case you get sued on one or something happens. Would that make sense?
Correct, yeah.
So, a lot of times if you're going to be renting property and different things like that, no big deal. You open a Thai company. I guess some people do it if, that's the only way they can get it. They want to live in it. They can do it that way too. We'll make another video later about that, but it can be done that way. People do buy land. I mean, you got major corporations like Hilton and different things here. They have a company, they have Thai investors, and they open a company and they own property.
And especially for some foreigners that maybe want to buy a house, right? Because obviously the rule in Thailand is that foreigners cannot own land in Thailand. So you can own the house, but not the land. A lot of foreigners that are buying, you'll find they'll either put the property, if they have a Thai partner, they'll put it in the partner's name in some cases. Or if they don't, they will set up a company basically and facilitate the purchase that way.
Okay, and that leads me to the next thing I want to discuss, which it's a legal thing and you need to ask an attorney, but my opinion and what I think from talking to my attorney, since I'm married here now and, I own property. I owned my condo before I was married. It was freehold, foreign note, the foreign quota. It's in my name. I have a prenuptial. If we were to get divorced, it's my condo. She has no access to it. I also have a will. If, something unexpected were to happen to me, then she would have access. She'd be able to get the condo. Who'd think a helicopter be coming by, like, making this much noise? It's usually the birds, but
somebody flying to their condo, I'd
yeah,
imagine.
today it's the helicopter. Oh, look who's here.
Wow.
Bringing goodies. Oh, do you like Thai tea?
Oh, look at that. I got a Thai
Did
tea.
you mean
Thank you,
clear
Fi.
tea? You probably meant the clear
No,
tea,
that's
right?
perfect. Perfect. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you, Fi. I think, and it's my opinion, that if you were to be married, okay, you're married to a Thai person, you want to own land and property, build a house in Thailand, if you were to do that after you're married, you were to have something in writing with your wife that should it happen that you guys get divorced, that you split your assets 50-50, which is kind of the law here anyways. It's kind of based on the US system of justice, where if you get divorced, you usually split all the assets. So I think it can be doable. Like people think, and I think a lot of guys make this mistake that they get married or they buy their girlfriend or whatever. They think they're buying them the property, the house. They get divorced, they just walk away from it. But you can fight in court to get to, and especially if you have things written the right way as you're going through this, it's not automatic that you're just giving it to them, but let's just say you get married, you stay married, and that's not an issue. That's the best way to go, probably.
Yeah, I think it's like any country, like you indicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have it set up properly, with having a will in Thailand is something that's very important.
Yes.
So even if you were to own assets in Thailand and you were to account for those assets, in a will that you had in your home country, you're still going to find it very difficult in terms of moving through the legal process here. So it's best to have everything set up. If you're buying assets in Thailand, property, etc., it's best to have your Thai legal I's dotted, T's crossed, etc.
Even before you do it, say you're going to buy a condo in Thailand and you're married, or not a condo, say you want to buy land and build, which is something that a foreigner can't really do, but you're married, consult an attorney. I have an attorney and he's told me a lot of things that I didn't know were possible in Thailand, but they are. So have an attorney write everything up for you. Then you're probably covered. They're probably going to take care of you if it ever went to court. Then again, it may not be that easy. The wife may be unwilling to sell it, and but that's something to be taken care of in the legal system, and so we won't get into it. But next thing I wanted to touch on, depreciation on condos here in Thailand, which you look at my condo, I'm by the sea. So that's, any of these condos or resort areas that are by the sea, it's going to be hard on the materials. It's they have to be maintained. So, I think that I did my due diligence when I was looking for a condo to find a lot of people say, oh, Greeny, you pay way too much. And I don't have the exact amount. I put it in the other video, how much I pay for maintenance costs, but they are constantly painting and fixing and sanding and doing things to keep it up. And I think everybody that comes over is like, wow, your condo's 14 years old. I can't believe how well cared it is. So I just think, in my opinion, is you got to do a lot of due diligence on your association, maintenance, who's going to be doing it, who's in charge of it, who's on the board, who's governing your association.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredibly important when you're looking at, buying a condo. The upkeep of the building is going to preserve the value of your unit, and not just the value, but also your personal experience living there, right? I mean, you'll find condos that have more facilities, or maybe more facilities, less condos. The maintenance fee will be higher. Big high rises that are able to spread their cost out amongst, 500, 1,000 units, 1,200 units. You're going to have a lower maintenance fee, essentially. But yeah, it's very important to look into that and not be thrown back if the maintenance fee is a little higher, right?
Right, because there's something to be said about living in, like my condo here, 7 floors high. It's not, it's just easier to keep things under control. You can talk to people, you get to know kind of like, people, who the people are. Like some of these giant high-rise shoebox ones, you got a lot of people doing Airbnb when they're not supposed to. You got people coming and going. It's more transient. Not something, I don't care about renting in a place like that, but if I'm going to live it and own it, that's not the type of atmosphere I want to be in. So you agree with me on that concept?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, still, if you're a foreigner and you compare the maintenance fees that you would pay in Thailand, even on the higher side, to, let's say, living in a city in the US.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no competition, right? So, I mean, it's, you're going to be paying maybe anywhere from $800 to maybe $2,000 a year, something like that, depending on the size of the unit, etc. But still property and as an investment in Thailand, I think it's still reasonable. I know what you paid for this place, and I'm looking at the view.
Many people have asked. I mean, I tell them I paid 4 million baht, which people say, oh, you're going to lose your ass. Well, other ones, I bought at COVID price. The prices are going up a little bit. I mean, and they sell. It's hard to keep a unit. I mean, a lot of these units just get sold, word of mouth before they even, hit the website. So it's really about picking the right unit, the right size, the right location, the right building, the right association, that type of stuff.
And look where the supply is at, right? I mean, there's a lot of places when you get to these resort locations that there's very heavy development going on and there's not enough uptake, right? So that's obviously going to decrease the value of the property. So, look to buy in areas where building is maybe a little bit more regulated. So, you can buy that one-of-a-kind unit, All
right. And related on the subject, another point, that I jotted down is look at the layout, look at the thing. So where I live, I mean, there's a vacant lot in front, but it's not vacant. It's owned by a restaurant. They park buses there. You got to look around and, if there's something that looks like, oh, somebody could build right in front of you and block the view, you might want to think twice about that. Also, parking. That's something that could affect me. One of our parking lots, we lease here. And, I guess the family, somebody died, they're passing it down. Now they don't want to sign a multi-year lease. They only want to do a one-year lease. If they ended up selling our parking lot, we may have to buck up and buy it or buy another area for parking. We do have some parking here, but it'll be cramped. If everybody had motorbikes, it'd be no problem. But a lot of, people have cars. So, that's something to look at.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, in locations like this, there's also building regulations, right? So, for instance, where we develop, it's all low rise. So people aren't really building above, let's say, 23 meters.
Okay.
So that's regulated, right? Which can also affect the parking. But to be honest with you, the law is that you have to have a minimum of, it's just under 20% of parking for the condos that you have in a building, right? You'll find that if you're buying in non-luxury buildings, like if you're buying reasonably priced condos, you're not going to have fixed parking spaces. Right. So it's all general. Okay. But to be very honest, in areas like this, you do find a lot of people have motorbikes, etc. So it's not really a huge problem. Yeah. But it is a consideration. Like
it's just because my particular building, it's a lot of long-term owners and people, they leave their car here. And I have a lot of, like German and Swedish, and I mean, they're gone half the year, but their car's here, and it's sitting in a parking spot. I don't know if it's just a little different than some of those high-rise ones where people are coming and going. People have cars, they live here mostly. There's only, some of the units are rented, but so another thing that people mention is don't buy because you might want to move around. And I would say that's true, sort of. If you can afford a condo, so you can keep all your stuff and have a base, like just because I own a condo, that doesn't stop me. My grand plan is to, be here three weeks a year. I mean, 3 weeks a month, 3 weeks a month, and travel a week a month. And make sure you can afford to do that. You don't want to be just stuck in one place. You want to be able to see everything in this great country. I mean, and even the region. I've been finally, things have gotten better with the pandemic, and I've been traveling all over Southeast Asia and Asia. Just got back from Japan. So, just make sure you can afford it. If you have the money to buy a second home in Thailand, I think it's, I looked into buying property up north in Michigan where I lived, hunting property or on the lake, and I decided on this, and now I just love it here so much I stay. I don't want to go back to America.
You were just saying when we had lunch the other day that you were in Japan for 10 days and you were kind of looking forward to getting back here, right? After day 8. So that's very true. What Greeny is saying is it's a personal preference, but you'll find buying property here is more affordable than you might think, to be very honest. If you were buying a condo like the one we're sitting in now, what are you, 120 square meters here or something?
Yeah, just under, right around there, yeah. Like 118 or something like that.
So if you equated to buying a resort condo like this in, say, like a Western country, I mean, you'd be talking triple, maybe 4 times the price that you paid, right?
I always think like Fort Lauderdale, Miami, because I look at because when I came here, I looked at other countries and I looked at places in the United States, and I was pretty much set on, the Fort Myers, area, that area, but you know, just the association fees like we were talking about here, it would be 4 times as much there. Like you said, the price of the condos for me to be looking out at the ocean every day like that would be
and then
$1 million probably.
And then your cost of living goes down as well, right? Because it's not just the condo, it's buying. I mean, you've done a lot of shows about food.
Yeah.
Just the cost of living in general is way below what a lot of people would be paying, like in US, Australia, UK, places like this. Coming back to your question about buying a condo, I agree. If you have a long-term plan to kind of stay in Thailand, finding a home base, you know, that you can make your own is important as well. Because when you're renting condos, oftentimes maybe the sofa's not you know, like the things in the condo, the mattress is not comfortable, these types of things. So if you want to truly make it your own, buy a place. And if you're living in an area like we are, I mean, you're in Pattaya, I mean, I'm looking at it now, you're there in 30 minutes. You're in Bangkok in 90 minutes, and then they've got the international airport 20 minutes south of us. So you know, Thailand and this particular area is a jumping off point for all of Asia. So you know, you lock your condo up, done.
They just at Utapao now they're just starting a direct flight to Dubai. So when I go to America, I'm gonna transition when I come back into the Middle East, do a little sightseeing there, and then I may take that direct flight right back to Utapao from Dubai, and that'd be great. I really, you know, I'm looking forward to all kinds of flights coming out of this airport because, you know, it's no big deal to drive to BKK, but this is just so much. I can just take a Grab
20 minutes
and pay, you know, 200, 300 baht, whatever it is, and I'm there. And I don't have to bother people to drive me. I don't have to leave the car.
Plus, they're actually putting $9 billion US into upgrading that airport as well.
Oh yeah, they're building a little city around it too, I guess. So anyways, another thing, you know, when you're buying the property, though, if you're going to buy in Thailand, you know, make sure you do your due diligence. The first time I came, and it was, you know, pre-COVID, when COVID started, I traveled all over just to get an idea of what areas I'd be comfortable. You know, do I want to be in the big city in Bangkok? Do I want to be in Hua Hin? Do I, you know, where I want to be? And this is just the most central point for me, but everybody's different. You may find a different place. So, okay, here's a good one for you, Ben. This is something people ask me. I've had a lot of questions about this one. Do you need a certain type of visa to buy property, to buy a condo in Thailand?
You don't. I'll tell you something very interesting. So yesterday, for instance, I sold a property to a gentleman in Belgium. He has never been to the area before, and he bought in one of the projects that we're doing off-plan. And it was a situation where he found us online, and there were probably 3 or 4 conversations back and forwards. But he's gone ahead and reserved that condo now and made the purchase, all from abroad.
So what's his plan?
Well, so his plan is he's actually bought a house in Hua Hin as well. And the condo that he bought with us is primarily for investment. Because as you might know, in the area where we develop, you do get a lot of people buying for investment because the rental market is quite good there. But yeah, I mean, his plan is he'll make the payments over construction. And then...
And that's what he means by off-site. It's
off-plan.
Off-plan is that, you know, it's not built yet, but the plans are all done, and he's reserved his unit, and that's how they finance. You know, you get enough, once they have enough people that buy it, they, you know, start building it, and you guys are right about there on that one.
Yeah, and I mean, on that note, that opens up an interesting question, because I'm sure a lot of people will say, like, it's very risky to buy this type of way. I mean, that's the general gist that you get when you talk about off-plan. But it's all really about your appetite of how much risk you want to take on. Buying at that stage, you're going to get a cheaper price. And all I can recommend is you go with a developer that has a strong track record. So for instance, our company has completed 4 projects in the same area, all, you know, relatively on schedule. And, you know, people have done their due diligence. But there are obviously 2 ways to buy. You can buy something completed, or you can buy something off-plan.
I was looking to buy something immediately. Like I was, you know, like you're talking about the couch. When I lived at the last unit in Pattaya, before I bought this one, my couch had 2 cushions. One was like hard as a rock, the other one was soft. It was like so weird. And there was a lot of other issues, you know. And then here, you know, any construction or renovations or improvements I do, that's for me. You know, I get to enjoy it. You know, first thing I did when I bought this place was bought a $1,000 bed to just sink into, you know.
I know
you're not going to do that when you're renting, you know.
And so just back to your note about buying from overseas. So to finish it off, whether it's off plan or completed, you can actually buy a property from overseas and you don't even have to be here to transfer it. So let's say somebody wants to buy your condo that we're in right now,
Right.
okay? You can negotiate, right, and come to an agreement on purchasing. And then essentially the buyer could go through a consultant or a lawyer or something like that with a power of attorney, transfer the property into your name with you being back in your country, and then the ownership documents, which you have a chenote, which is a title deed, and then the house book, which is a tabian ban. Those things can be sent to you, and yeah, you can take possession while being overseas.
And the same thing goes the other way. The people I bought my condo from, they didn't come here. They were in, in Europe somewhere, and everything was done with power of attorney, and, the sale was made. So yeah, can be done. All right, let's talk about the costs to buy and sell, condo. There's, the transfer fee. If you buy something new, the sinking fund. Can you just explain that real quick?
Yeah, sure. So, okay, so if you're buying, let's say, new condos in Thailand, right? So that means that it's from the developer and it's never been sold. So it could just be in a building that's just being completed or an off-plan project, etc. So when you're going to buy, you're going to pay a sinking fund. Okay, this is the first thing, and this is a one-time only payment, and it's only for a brand new condo. And what this is money that goes into the building juristic account that will cover major building expenses down the line. So for instance, you need to repaint the building, or the elevator has a major technical problem, or you need to retile the pool, for example. Funds from that sinking fund would be used to pay for that. So that is a pool of money that's held by the building juristic. The maintenance fee, you will usually pay anywhere from 1 to 3 years upfront, depending on the project that you're buying. And the maintenance fee is basically like a body corporate. So that covers, as you said, the homeowner fee. That covers the maintenance of the building juristic people themselves, the building manager, any maids that might be cleaning the common areas, landscaping, pool maintenance, electricity in the common areas, etc.
Well, usually the sinking fund is what percent usually?
They charge it as a rate per square meter. So it might be 500 baht per square meter or 750 baht per
and then so you have that fee, and then you got the transfer fee for the land.
Yeah,
so what is that usually, like 3% or 2%?
Yeah, so sinking fund and maintenance is separate. That's to do with juristic. What Greeny is referring to is the transfer fee. So that's like a tax that goes to the government. And at the moment, and for a long time in Thailand, it's been 2%. So in most arrangements, that would be split between the buyer and the seller. So 1%.
With a developer as well, usually?
With a developer, it'll be split as well. Okay. When you're buying in the resale market, right, the tax is normally split almost, right? So there's several.
Usually written up that way.
Yeah. So through a developer, you have the transfer fee. The developer will then normally pay the rest of the taxes, because there are other taxes when you buy. There's actually the transfer fee, which is 2%, right? You also have a special business tax, which is called an SBT tax. And that rate is 3.3%. And then you'll have either stamp duty or withholding tax that would be around 1%. So if you were selling your property today, you would have roughly 6.3% in taxes.
Really?
Due. And as I said, in a lot of times they would be split between the buyer and the seller. Now, the tricky part is if you own your condo for more than 5 years, so you've transferred it into your name and you've owned it for more than 5 years, that SBT tax will disappear. So 3.3% will actually disappear, and you'll be left with approximately 3% to pay. And that, if you split it, would obviously be 1.5, 1.5.
Right. Okay, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to get down to the last question, and a lot of people have asked about this one. Is there financing? Can people finance to buy a property in Thailand? And I'm not talking about just your, with the developer over a 3-year, as when it's off plan. I'm saying, like, somebody wants to buy my condo, can they get financing in Thailand, and for how long?
It's a very tricky situation, this. Typically, the answer would be no, but there are ways to get financing in Thailand. The first way is there is a company called MBK, Guarantee, that will do financing on property in Thailand. The interest rate is going to be higher than it would be for a Thai national, probably anywhere from 8 to 11 or 12%. I've seen. Some of the banks, for instance, UOB Bank out of Singapore, will do loans for foreigners, but there are certain stipulations. If you're working in Thailand, you have to have a salary above a certain range. I believe that is 150,000 baht per month. Or if you're a foreigner and you're married to a Thai national, there is also a way to get financing that way as well. But the LTV value or the loan or LTV rate, which is loan to value of the condo, usually will be anywhere from say 50 to 70%. So you're still going to need to put down, you know, probably 30% or so.
Right. Hefty down payment.
And as I say, the banks I'd recommend looking at if you're looking at doing that is UOB, ICBCI Bank from China, and I think Bangkok Bank does it as well.
Okay. Another good way to do it is, and not everybody can do this, you know, if you're leaving everything behind and moving to Thailand, you want to finance a condo or a house, that would be tough. But if you're just doing it as a vacation home and you own a property in your home country, you know, America, for instance, that's all I know about, is you can get a home equity loan and use that money for whatever you want. You can't use it in the stock market. You know, you're not supposed to invest that money in the stock market, but you can use it to buy another property. You know, I may have borrowed a little bit, you know, to put a little bit down because I didn't want to totally empty out my savings account when I bought this. So, and that was an extraordinary rate. It was like 2.2% when I got it.
Wow.
Now, the rates have fluctuated since then, and it is, you know, it fluctuates. It's not a fixed rate. But all right, Ben. Well, pretty good. If you guys enjoyed the video, you know, and you want to ask questions, just ask questions. We're gonna make this like a annual, weekly, monthly. We'll see. We're just gonna play it by ear, but maybe like a podcast type video cast. And we'd love to have your questions so we can address them in the next version, the next what would you call it? Episode.
Next episode.
All right. Greeny out.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.
Ben out.
Ben out.